I'm Mandy Yarkich from Creative Matters, and you're listening to Creative Matters on Air, where I have conversations with new and established artists from around New Zealand. I love to listen to artists' stories and learn about their creative process, and maybe you do too, which is why I've made this podcast, to inspire, inform and educate. I hope you can take away something positive and encouraging from each of these amazing stories to help you on your own creative journey. Welcome to Creative Matters Episode 2. Thank you so much for listening. Today I'm talking to Kylie Rusk. Kylie is a full-time artist and mother of two living in Muriwai Beach, northwest of Auckland. Kylie feels a strong connection with the land and sea and uses paints and stone lithographs to represent the New Zealand landscape she is inspired by. Her works have a sense of quiet isolation and beautifully capture the grandeur of New Zealand scenery. I've been following Kylie on social media and admiring her stunning works for a few years now, and strangely we have never really met, despite the fact she lives just down the road. It's so nice to finally sit down for a chat. Welcome to Creative Matters, Kylie. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to it.
So exciting. Can you tell us about where you were born, your childhood, and if you were a creative kid?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Hukerenui, which is a small country settlement half an hour north of Whangarei. And so I grew up on a dairy farm and I was surrounded by nature 24/7. So yeah, I was out on the farm helping mum and dad out, milking cows, going for bushwalks, always climbing trees. I was actually a bit of a tomboy. So yeah, I had quite a wholesome upbringing. Mum was always home when we got home from school. She always saw us off to school and she's always there to take us to our after school activities. So yeah, it was a really cool upbringing.
It sounds amazing. So whereabouts is that exactly? Near Whangarei, up north from Auckland?
Yeah, so this Whangarei's 2 hours from Auckland and then half an hour north of Whangarei. It's like halfway between the Bay of Islands and Whangarei. There's like this little small, it's not really a town, there's pretty much only a pub there, but
I think I know
dairy
it.
Farm there. Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And, looking back, do you think of yourself as a creative child? Were you doing sort of interesting thinking things or did that come later?
Yeah, I think I've always been creating. And I think because living on a farm, we couldn't just go down the road and see our friends. We're always doing that sort of creative play, always baking, always making something. And then the school always had agricultural day. So we would, my grandma used to come out and we used to practice putting the flowers together. And there was always an art side of it as well, which I really loved.
And were they creative, your family, would you say?
Yeah, my mum was I think both my parents are very creative. Like my dad moulded a beautiful farm over 35 years. He was prior to that he was a land surveyor. And I remember my dad vividly as a young child sketching this dinosaur for a school project, and I thought, wow, that's pretty amazing. And then my mum is a keen sewer. She's a knitter and an incredible gardener, and it's growing up on a farm. My parents bought the farm. It cost a lot of money. We didn't have a lot of money, so my mum was always renovating the family home and working out how to tile and wallpaper, and she did her own upholstery, and she was always painting. So it's always, both my parents were always using their hands, and they're always been very, very creative in what they were doing. Yeah.
And that must have really rubbed off, obviously.
Yeah, definitely.
What a great environment to grow up in.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So I was just wondering, was there a moment in your youth, sort of either when you were at school or when you were younger, that you thought you'd actually be doing what you're doing now as an artist?
No, I never. I knew I wanted to be in a creative field, but I didn't ever think I want to be an artist. Yeah, but I knew I wanted to be doing something creatively.
Yeah.
When I was older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you went to tell us about your high school days, and if you were doing art at school and that the journey through your high school years, how was that?
Yeah, so in fourth form, I took an art class in fourth form and I absolutely loved it. Like I always look forward to going to art class, and, it was something I knew I wanted to continue on throughout my schooling life. So then I went on and did fifth form art, School C art, and I had this very creative teacher, Mrs. Dugmore, who was very creative in her application to the School C art boards, whereas the other class did a whole lot of still life. So it was really cool to have her as a teacher, and it made me think outside the box.
Yeah, that's great.
It was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't, I didn't get taught how to mix paints or what sort of brushes to use. I think that comes through experimenting. And then, during that year, it was the first time my parents saw my love and my passion for art, and I felt that as well. I'd sit there for hours and hours painting and listening to music. And I remember my mum going up to the calf shed to feed the calves, and she was gone for hours. And she came back and she's like, "Oh my goodness, Kylie, you're still sitting there painting," like I'm I'm an active relaxer and I'm an on-the-go person. So for them to see me sit there and just be absorbed by, or just be really into it,
Yeah, that's so great. So that was around fifth form that you were doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I then went on to, just to elaborate on that whole landscape side of things, I went to, my parents saw that sort of love and passion in my art, and saw something that I was like came naturally. And so there's Tukipunga High School, which is, and at the time there's a wonderful, amazing teacher there, Jeff Harris, who was renowned at getting his students into Elam School, the prestigious art school, Elam School of Fine Arts. However, the school was very low decile, and they were, were known for, like, there was fights and drugs, and it wasn't like the ideal school to go to. But if I wanted to get into Elam, then I had to make that. My parents guided me to make that decision, to make that move, to go to that school.
To be with that teacher.
To be with that teacher, yeah.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
It's pretty cool. I don't know, I have no idea how I made that decision at the time, like looking back on it, like it was a pretty gutsy thing to do. Yeah.
And when did you move there?
So I moved there in my 7th form year. So my parents, we had a family friend that we knew that went there the year prior. So I met up with her at her house, and I saw her 7th form art boards. And I just could see the difference in the end result of those boards compared to what was being produced at Kamo High School. It just helped talking to her about, the school and the people there and how it was run. And it was honestly the best year of my life. Like, usually, I was a little bit gutted I was leaving Kamo High School, because you kind of get to the 7th form and you wear mufti, and it's kind of your prefect, and it's the cool year at school.
Everybody.
Yeah. And then, so I went to Kamo High School for a week, and then I was like, oh no, I made the change to Kamo High School.
Wow.
Tukipunga High School.
Yeah.
And
it was a pretty gutsy move.
Yeah.
And was that just solely because you really wanted to get your art in the right place so that you could go to Elam? You'd already decided.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great, isn't it, for a kid that age?
And I remember we had art history. We had 4 students in our class, so it was a lot of one-on-one. And during that year, my boards were on the gun emplacements out at Whangarei Heads, and I think that was the moment I fell in love with the landscape, definitely, and like that obsession with light. Like, so when you looked at my boards, there was always different times of the day, and the gun emplacements at different times of the day as well. Wow. And I learned some a painting technique that I use today from my teacher at the time. The building up of layers and applying like gel medium and applying like watered down washes and and then at that school I learned how to like use mix paints properly and use the right brushes and
so it had a big influence, didn't it, really?
Yeah.
So great that you had the guts to make the move and head off, because that would have been quite scary. I guess
it was definitely very scary.
Yeah. So that was a successful year for you, obviously, that 7th form year.
Yeah. I ended up getting a bursary. So I was pretty happy with that.
Done.
Yeah.
And
getting into Elam as well. So
you achieved everything you intended.
Yes.
So good. And so then the big move to Elam, did you have to come down to Auckland?
Yeah, I had to, yeah. So I moved down when I was 18. I was so excited. I couldn't wait to get out of home, like living on a farm, like half an hour north of Whangarei,
Yeah.
Get me out of here. Big smoke. Yeah, it was pretty cool though. Moving down to the concrete jungle was like, looking back on it, it was a big change, coming from living in a natural environment and having home cooked meals and to living in a hostel and making new friends. And I actually didn't enjoy my first year at Elam. I don't know, I think it's because it was a big change, but the really good thing about it is that it taught me to think outside the box. We did all these crazy things, like I remember going to a park and taping like leaves onto a building and like going into the middle of like Auckland University and creating sculptural works. And so I think maybe I didn't enjoy it because it was so different, like the work that you were creating was so different. But looking back on it, I'm really thankful for that.
Yeah. It was taking you out of your comfort zone, I guess, which is a good thing. Yeah. But it can be scary when you're 17.
Yeah, exactly. So in that year, you have electives that you can take. So you can take, I decided to take design because there was a career outcome for that and, a salary and money and way to support myself when I left Elam. And then I also took printmaking. And I have no idea why I took printmaking. I can't remember, but I think it's something I'd never done before and I wanted to try.
Wow. And not painting?
No, because I feel like I knew how to paint. I knew what was all about. Yeah. So I wanted to do something that was outside my comfort zone. That's
great.
Yeah. So learn something else. So at the end of that year, I had to decide whether to go on and take design in my second, third and fourth year or take printmaking. And it was a really hard decision for me. But my parents have always said, go with your passion, go with what you love. They've always been about that. So I went with what felt right and I took up printmaking. Yeah.
Wow. So great.
Yeah.
And the printmaking at Elam, was that looking at all sorts of different types of printmaking?
Yeah, it was. So how that worked was in the second year there was all these 6-week block courses. So first off was lithography and then we did screen printing and then we did like etching and woodcut. So that year was about learning all the various techniques and then at the end of the year you had a 6-week block where you could take one of those and do what take one of those mediums and create your end of year body of work for the exhibition.
Oh, how amazing. Yeah. That sounds so good. I mean, you hear lots of different things about Elam from people, but it sounds like you got a really good sort of baseline.
Yeah, I did. Had awesome teachers, lecturers. Yeah.
And that was your second year?
Yeah.
And so what happened from there?
Yeah, so year 3, that was my big moment. Like, I was just like, I think I woke up, I was like, oh shit, what am I doing? I was like, I don't want to become an artist. Like, that's not, I think when I signed up for Elam, I say signed up, but when I decided to go to Elam, I think you're so young and naive and you don't really know what you want to be doing. And I was thinking, well, do I change to design? As there's money in that can pay for the bills. And I was just like, I was living with, people studying to be doctors and engineers and optometrists. And it just really hit me. It was just a massive moment and I was in like a really dark place. I was like, what am I doing? Where am I going? This is not reality. This is not the real world. I can't go out and become an artist. I can't make a living from it.
And do you think there was something that caused you to feel like that? Did something happen? Or
I think I just woke up, and I think because I was living with people that were studying, like I say, they were studying to be doctors and engineers, and they were going on to have a career. I mean, not that being an artist isn't a career, but I just felt like that's a harder road to get to at the end of it.
And you need so much sort of self-assuredness to be, to go out there and do your own thing and promote your own artwork when you come out at sort of, early 20s. Yeah. It's pretty tough.
Yeah, it is pretty tough.
So how did you work through that?
So what did I do? So I sat down with my one of my lecturers, Alexis Neal, and talked about changing to design. And then she must have seen something in my mark making process, because at the time I was taking, like, all my drawings was like real scribbles. I was taking it out on the land, like I was doing all these scribbly abstracted landscapes. And so she took my enjoyment of screen printing, and she must have seen something in my mark making process that could be applied to lithography.
Yeah.
And so we combined those two processes, and she started me off on my first stone, and honestly I just fell in love with lithography, and I just did not look back. It was
Really?
Awesome.
How amazing. What a great lecturer to be able to see that in you and to guide you and put you back on the path.
Yeah. And so I was away, and I haven't looked back. But also in that year, I decided that I was going to do a BA and a BFA, so I had something to fall back on.
Yeah.
So I took up geography as as my major.
Well, that's interesting. Well, that connects quite strongly with the work that you're doing, doesn't it? I mean, was that part of the plan, do you think, that your interest in land and sea, could you see a connection with geography in your art practice at that point?
Well, yeah, I've always been a lover of the land because I grew up on it, and then I took geography in seventh form and really enjoyed that because I really do care about the environment, and it's something I've grown up in. And at Elam I tried all these different things, subject matters, and I did experiment, but I came back to the land, and that's what I love doing. So I was like, why I decided to produce art based around the land.
Which is so great. And how did you find that, doing the two at the same time?
That was fine. It just took an extra year, so it was a 5-year course all up to obtain that Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Fine Arts. And then
that's a long journey, isn't it?
It's a long journey. And then I went on and did a year of Masters of Town Planning Practice.
Wow.
And then I was working in a consultancy firm at the time, and finishing off my Masters in Town Planning.
Gosh, that's
incredible.
I
love learning. I know, it's crazy.
I didn't realise that you did all that. That's amazing. And how old were you at this point? Just mid-20s?
Yeah, probably mid-20s. Yeah, around that time.
Wow.
So I knew I loved geography, and so that's why it led me on to town planning, because I really cared about the environment. And I also, I did have an opportunity at the end of my 4th year at Elam, and it was an awesome opportunity. I was there was the Lane Gallery at the time. Alexis Neal went down and saw them and said, "Hey, I've got this artist. Come and have a look at her works at the end of my 4th year, my final year."
Yeah.
And she came up, and the body of work was based around. What I did is I went up to Whanganaki, which is north of Whangarei, and I took a panorama. In a panorama, I took a photo every day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And from each of those photos, I produced a lithograph of each of those times of the day.
Beautiful.
And I think it was a 15-metre long wall space that I made sure they're all framed. So,
wow.
It was a 15-metre long wall space. So she came up and she viewed those works, and she was like, right, yep, you can have your first solo with me. And, this is a really renowned gallery in the CBD.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they're not around today because of the recession. I had my first solo with them, and that went really well. And that's where I sold my first piece of art, which I was so proud of. Yeah, and then that led on to a second solo exhibition with them, which was, again, went really, really well. And during that time, I was doing group shows as well. But, there was that whole I couldn't bring myself to make that jump into becoming an artist, and, not having a lot of money, and I needed to be able to support myself. So that's why I did the town planning and continued with that.
Right. Yeah, which is kind of understandable, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people have that. Did you find that other people in your course were having the same issues?
Yeah, a few. A lot of people didn't go on to become an artist. There's probably only a couple other people I know. But a lot of people went on to do teaching or completely did another, study design or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess what happened from then is I decided to give my town planning career a good crack. So this was an 8 to 5 job, Monday to Friday, whilst completing my master's in town planning. But, this job did my head in over the course of 10 years.
10 years?
Yeah, I was working for a consultancy and I worked for Auckland Council across 10 years.
Gosh.
And I'd have the odd solo exhibition, I'd always have a group show at Sea Gallery, but I never delved into it, I just didn't have the time either, I was trying to build this other career.
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of put it on the back burner.
But you were painting, or were you doing printmaking at that point, sort of on the side just for fun? A little bit.
Yeah, I did. I did do some printmaking. I actually ended up, there's a guy, Jim Radford, up in Whangarei. It's actually really hard to find lithography studios. It's a really dying practice. And so there's this guy who set up his own studio up in Whangarei, and knew him through a family friend of a friend, and went to his place. And I did one. I had one exhibition. When I had the 2 exhibitions I had while I was town planning, I went up there and I used his studio.
Oh, that's good.
And unfortunately, it's really sad, but he passed away from cancer.
Oh, sad.
So I was pretty humble, but I ended up purchasing his lithography studio, which I have in storage, but one day I'll have my own studio.
That's so great.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful, isn't it, that you can keep his equipment alive.
Yeah.
And so you were doing the town planning job, but you did had a little bit of art happening on the side, but not
a lot.
Not a lot.
Yeah, it was, back to my town planning. That it's using the other side of the brain, and there's a lot of writing emails, big long emails, and writing reports, and it was very regimented, checking an application against the district plan. So it wasn't creative one bit. But, I did learn a lot of business etiquette through that, which I apply to my business today. So I was pretty unhappy in that job. I didn't enjoy it. It was not me. I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. It was really unsatisfying and soul destroying. It was sort of sucking the life out of me. I felt really trapped, and I couldn't get out of it. It was my income. I had paid my rent, paid my bills, for my food. I hated it. I wanted to be doing something else.
Yeah, I can see that. It's such a common thing, though, isn't it, for artists in particular, when they think, I need to get a bit serious and earn some money, get a real job. But, I think it's always going to be there. It obviously was for you. It was there. I mean, were you actually thinking, I know I'm going to be an artist at some point full time. I just have to get this behind me? Or were you thinking there will always have to be something on the side?
No, I never thought I'd. Yeah. So being a town planner, I knew I wasn't going to be the top of my game or be good at it. So I knew I wanted to be in a creative path, and I had to be in a creative field, because that's something that comes more naturally to me.
Yeah.
So I had children came along, so that really made me consider what I was doing. So I needed to be in something that I was passionate about, and something that makes me feel good and gives me great satisfaction. So with the encouragement and support of my husband, I guess threw the towel in, and it drove me to restudy. And so I decided to do a diploma in interior design, and I set a yearly goal at the start of that. It's a 2-year course full time and 4 years part time. And so at the start of that, I was like, right, because I truly believe you set goals, it comes back around, or you subconsciously work towards it.
Yeah.
So I set a goal at the start. I was like, right, I'm going to do this study and at the same time give my art one last go. And I put all my energy into both those things. And, you know, it's been hard and challenging having such young kids.
Yeah.
So, but it's something I love, and if I wasn't doing it, then I'd be unhappy. But if I am doing it, then I am happy.
Yeah, you're a better mum probably if you're feeding that other side of you, I guess.
Exactly.
So you did part-time interior design for 4 years.
4 years. So I'm in my last year at the moment and finishing that off.
Oh, wow.
So, I just use every sort of moment I could to go out into the sleep out. Sometimes it'd be so hard to drag myself out there after put the kids to bed. And the hardest thing always is getting those paints out. But once I got the paints out and I start painting, then I'm okay. You know? So I'd use, just when I could at the weekend, I'd spend weekends. And my husband's so supportive. He's like, no worries. And if I ever have to do any art, he's like, just go do it. Yeah. I have to go away for a weekend to hire the studio up in Whangarei. Yep, that's fine.
That's
awesome. Amazing.
Yeah, that's so
cool.
great to have that.
Yeah, it's really, really special. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so, sorry, I'm a little bit emotional saying that.
Oh, but that's beautiful. And how incredible to have somebody like that backing you up.
Yeah, it means a lot.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Big shout out to your husband.
He's good.
Yeah. That's very cool. So you are painting now. So when now you're a full time. Well, would you consider yourself a full time artist, or are you still kind of part time with your
part-time,
study?
I think. Definitely still part time because I'm still finishing my study, and I set yearly goals every year, and then I set sort of sub goals and how to reach that goal. So I've got some goals I've set this year that I want to meet, and then next year. So we'll see what it comes to at the end of the year. But I think I'm definitely on that path of becoming making my art a full-time job. I want it to be my full-time job. I want to be creative, and I don't want to fail.
And I'm sure you won't.
Yeah.
But you the interior design side of things, you're not planning to become an interior designer. Is that just kind of informing your practice?
Oh yeah. Well, it's something I can always fall back on because I know I want to be in a creative field.
Yeah.
And it 100% influences my art. Well, I can't say 100%, but it definitely influences my art. Like in terms of like using color. I did this painting for my exhibition this time last year, actually, and it was a foggy morning shot of trees and the sun rising and like this really green hill in the foreground. And I was like, it was a painting I'd never painted. It was a painting that I had as a landscape I hadn't done before.
Yeah.
And so I took into consideration the colour wheel, the triad, which is the orange, purple and green, and sort of either toned some of those colours back or intensified them to sort of make that painting work.
That's interesting.
And then I also think like sometimes I see a sky that's like real there's ochre and purple clouds, and you kind of do think about the colour wheel even subconsciously when you're painting.
Absolutely. Yeah, we talked about that I think in episode 1 with Tanya. Once you're making and responding to things like the environment, you just notice so much more stuff, whether it's colour or shape or form.
Yeah, you're always observing
which is great. And I think it's a gift for artists in a way that it kind of opens your eyes up to what's around you in some ways, which is a cool thing.
And I feel like you're always learning from it as well. I feel like I'll always forever be learning about colour and how that works and form. And I don't know, I'm actually obsessed with colour. Like I've become more and more obsessed with it. And interior design trends definitely influence my artwork.
Oh, that's great.
And often subconsciously.
Yeah.
Like I was mixing up a brown wash the other day. I'm mixing up a colour, and it was like quite browny, and I was like, oh, actually I might apply that brown to my painting. And I actually at the moment there's browns coming through in those in interior design and homes and that. So
absolutely. And mustards and
definitely
ochre.
mustards. I'm a bit obsessed with mustard at the moment.
Mustard and pink. Can't get enough of those colours. Oh, that's amazing. And you the work that you've been producing lately is just since I've been following you really on social media and seeing what you're doing with Mirawai Arts and that kind of thing, it's really powerful work.
Thank you.
And And you obviously have your lithography works and your painted art. Can you tell us about that and where you started, whether it was the printmaking into the painting, or how that worked? And it'd be really great also to hear about your process.
I know people are probably listening to this thinking, what is lithography?
Yeah, exactly. Can you please tell us
about it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So as a synopsis, so lithography was invented in 1796, and it was a really cheap way of making the newspapers and theatrical notes and printing maps. And so what it is it's limestone. It's really heavy, and it's quarried out of Germany, and it's a flat piece of stone, and it's made out of like marine life and millions and millions of years ago, and through tectonic uplift that's come to the surface and quarried out of Germany. But basically, so it's a flat piece of stone, and you've got to grind it back like you're sandpapering back a piece of furniture, or you're outside of your house. You start with what do you start with? You start with 100 grit, you go up to 180 grit, 240 grit, so you're making this really smooth surface. So it's already flat, but you're grinding off the old image that was that was previously on there.
So you do that at the beginning of every new work.
Yeah, and use this really heavy levigator, and use grit and water to grind back that stone. So then you have the stone that's ready to draw on, and you use a greasy material to draw onto that stone with. So you could even use like your finger mark. You could put your finger mark on there, and that would, if you etched it at the right strength, that could turn out onto the paper. But you draw on it with a greasy material, or I use this material that's quite unique to lithography called touche, and it creates all these beautiful organic forms which dries on the stone, like it's kind of like toadstool sort of marks, toad skin marks. Sorry,
is it like like a crayon pastel-y thing that you hold, or is it a fabric? You hold it. It's like a stick, and then you get a metal bowl, and then you heat up the metal bowl with a hairdryer, and then you put the greasy stick into the metal bowl, and the grease comes off in the bowl, and then you add water to it, and you stir it together. So there's all these little particles in there, like all these greasy particles. Right.
And so then when you put that onto the stone, you never know how it's gonna how it's gonna dry, and therefore you never know how it's gonna etch or print. And that's what I love about that medium, is it reflects nature as well. So I apply this sort of watery touche for my clouds and skies.
And how do you put that on, with a paintbrush? Or?
Yeah, with a paintbrush. Yeah. I use a combination of touche and a drawing stick. And then it depends on how much grease you apply to that stone, depends on how you etch it. So if you've drawn it with really heavy grease, you etch it with a higher acid. So it's like you etch it with nitric acid and gum arabic.
Wow.
Yeah, so then if it's a lightly drawn mark, you just etch it, say, like 1 drop of nitric acid. So you might do some spot etching. So once you've got your stone drawn, then you etch it, and so you're etching those greasy material into the stone, like a thousandth of a millimeter, let's say. Yeah. So it's etching that into that limestone.
So the acidic, or the acid that you're putting onto it, it creates that reaction with the stone kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's like science.
Yeah, it is like science. So, it's the oldest form of printmaking process, and it's the closest form of printmaking that's to the hand-drawn mark, so you can get that graduation of tone. Whereas woodcut, you just get black and white pretty much, or just, 2 tones, two colours. So where was I? So you etch it into the stone, and then you let it to dry overnight, so it takes 24 hours to etch into the stone. And then you come in the next day, and I really don't want to confuse you with a step, but you open up the stone.
Okay.
I won't get into the details of it. Basically, you open up the stone, and then you re-etch it. So you open up the stone, you apply some more ink to the... I really don't want to confuse you, but pretty much open up the stone, and then you re-etch it to stabilize the image.
Right.
Yeah. And then you don't have to wait a day or so many hours. You put that onto the press, and then you open the stone. There's a lot of opening and closing of stones, but
that sounds very interesting.
Yeah, so you put
Open sesame.
So we open the stone back up, and it's ready for printing. So you mix up your colour, and you put on your piece of I used glass, and then you roll that ink into the stone or across the stone. So ink repels water. So the areas that you've drawn that catches the ink,
right?
And those areas that you've etched, and the rest of the stone doesn't.
I see. That makes sense.
Ink. Yeah. And then you put that through the press at a high pressure. You put your paper on, and then put and put that through the press. So that's how that works. But
wow.
Yeah.
And then so you've got your print onto the paper. Then do you sort of do more etchings on top of that, make more layers, or is that just the initial?
Yeah, that's
etching?
what I. Yeah, exactly. For the process I use for how I create my lithographs is that I always do a blend, like a 2-color blend or a 3-color blend to get that graduation of sky, and I do that on an etching press, which is a different press. I won't go into the detail of that. So that's day one.
Right.
So that's the first day.
Yeah.
Then I come in on the second day, and I'll print the clouds and the water, because you can't mix your colours together. So then I have one roller that's white, say for the clouds, and then I have another roller that's blue for the water.
Right.
And then I print that. And then I come in the next day and then print the land. So in between all of that, there's lots of grinding stones down and etching and opening the stones up.
Wow.
So
It's a
really long, laborious process. I have no idea why I love it, but there's something about the outcome, I think it is. That tonality and
Yeah, and also, I mean, the whole process of printmaking, that sort of element of surprise is, I think, beautiful. When you are working on something and you pull the paper out of the press.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh. Yeah. Or I like the experimental side of it too, and we can make little adjustments and to get exactly what you want.
Yeah.
So I imagine, not every piece of paper you put through the press turns out to be how you want it, I guess. So do you end up throwing away quite a bit, or are you on track?
It usually never turns out how I want it to turn out, because I'm using touche, and I always have this idea in my head of how it should turn out, but it doesn't. But then I accept it. I'm like, okay, it's an organic medium, and but yeah, that's a thing with having exhibitions, is that I can be quite experimental with my artwork and my process.
Yeah,
and then from there I learn what people like or dislike, and then I build on from that.
Yeah. And that's the good thing, I guess, about having exhibitions, to get feedback and and see what works for people. And so did you have like a burst of doing the lithographs and then into painting, or does it overlap a bit?
Yeah, something that's definitely starting to overlap. And I think, I like living in this a beautiful seaside town of Muriwai. You see this amazing reflection of light on the water, and that's definitely come through in my paintings. I was going for a walk the other day and walked past Oia Rock, and there was this like dark blue indigo, and then it went bright turquoise, and there's these browns in the water, and like the reflection of the light was the soft grey, but then it was really white and towards the end of the coast.
Yeah.
And so that's heavily influenced my paintings, and I'm always got my camera on me when I'm out and going for my walks. I'm always capturing, that light. And then so that's definitely influenced my lithographs, because when I go to produce my lithographs, I've changed some of the way I do my technique on the stone. And so I'm trying to bring through that reflection of light through my lithographs. Yeah. So they influence each other. I'm just trying to think if my lithograph influences my paintings, but it's more around the other way. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's similar subject matter.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I mean, you're interested in light and land and sea and sky.
Yeah, and I feel like I usually paint an image or I print an image, and then I've got to do both. I get a bit obsessed, and I can relate to Monet with his lilies, though I don't think I could paint. I think I painted like 300 or 600 or something.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But yeah, I get upset, and then I like doing it from different angles, and
which is so great. And then, so the painting, I mean, your beautiful works, sort of your later works, you're quite current, I guess, in the last year of, Slipper Island and Browns Island. They're really striking, and you can definitely get that feel of the light.
Yeah.
Your obsession with light comes through. So I'd love to know why those islands in particular, or is it just something that you see in your travels and photograph it and you're inspired by that, or is there something else behind it?
Yeah, it's definitely something I see in my travels. Like I travel around New Zealand a lot, and I still do. So yeah, I'm definitely inspired by what I see. I'm always got to stop the car and be like, hang on, I want to take a photo. Or I went down to Gisborne in the weekend and went driving around, and I was taking photos. I was like, oh, that could be a cool that could be a cool painting, or I could turn that into a painting. Or I like, what's that island? Or
Yeah, I can imagine. So good for your kids to see that sort of creative mind working.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. And is it mostly islands and sort of sea, beach, kind of sea focused?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is mainly coastal.
Yeah, it does seem coastal.
I think that's because I grew up around the coast. And yeah, I spent many summers at Whananaki or Ruakaka camping. And then just recently I've been heavily inspired by, foggy mornings. And I think, my parents sold their family farm about a year and a half ago. And I think it was my way of dealing with that. And so I definitely want to do more sort of farm paintings with those trees and the foggy mornings.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And not without sea sometimes?
Yeah, definitely without sea. Yeah.
So, it's
I'm looking forward to doing, just got to wake up at whatever time in the morning.
That's the only problem. I'm sure you're used to that with 2 young children.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Is there anything else you want to tell us? Maybe even something about your painting process.
Yeah. So for my painting process, I'll elaborate on that. I have to have a photograph. So sometimes I have a photograph of the island or the coastal scape, and then I usually have another photo of some beautiful light I've seen at Muriwai and that reflection and those colours. And then when I go into the studio, I apply, I get my boards off made up by Frames by Daniel, and then I apply a hard moulding paste to the canvas. And then I always start off with these really crude big blotches of dark colour so I can build upon them. And I always start with the water, the sky and the land first. And then when I start to build up those layers and washes through using watered down paint and GAC. So what I mean by that is I'll paint a layer, put GAC over top of it, and then I'll create a watery wash up, and then I'll apply that to the painting and then wash that off with I'll rub it off with a handy towel, and then I'll go in and I'll what's the word? Apply GAC to seal that layer.
All right.
So I build the layer by layer by layer by layer. I would have no idea how many layers I do, and then it just slowly comes to fruition. All those sort of colours coming through.
Yeah.
And then I end up focusing on the sky first, and then I go down through to the water and that reflection of that cloud on the water. And then I peel off the beautiful purple tape, which I love doing, and then I go in and I paint the detail of the land. And I used to paint the land and the sky and the land always, and it was always my favourite part of it because you can be so free with it. And then I'd get into the detail of the land, and I used to not quite enjoy that part. And then since living at Muriwai and seeing the ever-changing skyline, and it's so vast and the water's so vast, I've started painting those skies and that water in more detail. And then when I actually get down and I sit down and I paint the land, I really enjoy that part of the process as well.
Yeah. And it's such a beautiful contrast in your paintings, the real crisp sort of realistic feel of the land at times, or I'm thinking of the island ones in particular.
Yeah.
And then the sort of more muted, I don't know, muted might not be the right word.
Yeah, I think I would describe it as muted, yeah.
And more sort of that rich, you can feel the underpainting or, you know, the layers that have gone underneath. And then you can, I think they're a lot, your sky and your sea is a lot softer, I guess, just from maybe that process of using the smudging.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really effective, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great. Very clever lady. So you do all that amazing stuff, and now you're basically trying to run a business and be a mum of 2 busy children and, you know, managing, plus your study obviously at the moment is still happening.
Yep.
So tell us about how you kind of manage all the things required to make your work, market it, promote it, deal with galleries, commissions, clients, and then, you know, all the other stuff that you do.
Yeah, my diary's pretty full. But
Yeah, I'm so surprised I actually managed to get you here.
I like being busy. You know. I don't know, it's just, I guess it's setting that time aside. So I have put my son into kindy 4 days, whereas it used to be 3 days. So a typical normal week would be go to uni a couple of days a week, and I do all my errands, like grocery shopping, dropping the kids off, picking the kids up, doing the study, trying to do my assignments on those days. And then the other days I focus on my art. And on those days that I go into uni, I visit galleries, if I need to, pick up art supplies. And then in the evenings, I'm trying to do a little bit less, but COVID hasn't helped. But in the evenings, I paint, and in the weekends, I paint as well. And then as well, alongside that, there's also the whole social media side of things, which I feel like, well, I know I can't turn off from that. You know, it's not like just a 9-to-5 job. It's you have to be posting. I feel like I have to be posting on weekends or doing stories to keep work those algorithms, which I'm wanting to learn more about.
Yeah. And you have got a strong presence on social media from my point of view. Yeah. And I think you're very good at that too. I really like to watch your stories, you know, and I love that you record the process, and you know, it gives us a little sort of sneak peek into your practice and how you work. And it's really interesting. You do really well with that.
Yeah, thank you. It's definitely one of my goals this year is to try and show more. And I'm looking forward to getting back into my lithography so I can show people more about that. But I did have, I had a friend who works in publicity. So she gave me some guidance in the early stages of, you know, you should post, you know, 2 to 3 times a week and certain times of the day. But the whole landscape of social media has moved so fast over the last 3 years. You know, it's a lot about the stories, and now there's reels, and so I'm looking forward. I'd like to, you know more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think with social media, you just have to keep up with keep up. I mean, you get one thing sorted, like, sweet, I know how to do this now, and then suddenly it's a different
thing.
Or it changes.
That?
Yeah. and what worked last week suddenly doesn't seem to be working, so you've really just got to keep onto it, which is hard. Do you find that dominates your life a bit, the social media?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And I feel like there was a period of time where I didn't really use it that much, and I know this with the algorithms, you sort of fall back to the end of the stories or the feed, and you always feel like you do feel like you have to be posting a nice picture and having that set up, because it is like your gallery, like we said before we started this podcast, is like, you know, it's the way of people find out about you. They go to your Instagram or your Facebook, and you got to have that looking nice. Yeah,
it does make a great gallery, doesn't it? Yeah, but it can be tricky, and you do sort of put yourself on there as well, which, you know, I think, I mean, I know from my own experience, if it's a post of me, I'm not sure why, but it seems to have more reaction than, you know, the work that I do.
Exactly. Like, even if you just put your hand in there, you get more of interaction. Yeah,
which is interesting, and it's hard kind of putting yourself out there sometimes.
It is. As an artist, it's so, for anyone, but artists are usually a little more introvert and don't want to, you know, post about themselves. And I remember feeling so nervous about posting a profile image of me on Instagram. I was like, no, I can't do it.
Yeah. It's such a long thing that you're going to have to go through. It's a real journey, isn't it?
Yes.
Initially, it just feels so weird, but you do get used to it, don't you? Yeah.
Just going back to that business side of things and juggling all of that, one of the things that have always find challenging is getting my works into galleries, and it's really hard as an artist to sell yourself. It's always so nerve-wracking approaching galleries and going in to see them, and you're saying, hey, my name's Kylie Rusk, this is who I am, this is my background, can you please have my work,
It would be really hard.
Yeah.
And then, it's getting the odd knockback, which I don't imagine you would, but
I've had a few of them. Yeah,
that can be tough, so you've just got to keep driving, don't you?
Yep.
So are you connected with a particular gallery at the moment, or do you work with a few?
Yeah, I've worked with a few, so I've got a couple up north, Tutakaka Art Gallery, Burning Issues Gallery, and then in Auckland I have Turuo Gallery, which is so supportive, doing well there.
Yeah.
And then in Tauranga I've got the Art Lounge, but it's I'd like to get my art out to a few other galleries, maybe further south. But then you don't want to have too many of them because I feel like you just want to have a few that you are providing work to.
Yeah. It's quite a hard one,
keep
isn't
up
it?
with.
Getting the right balance.
Yeah.
And then some galleries don't want you to be with other galleries. So there's lots of tension potentially between that, isn't there? So you're obviously a very, very busy person, Kylie. Do you actually give yourself some time? And if so, what do you do for your time out?
So I do enjoy having time out. So I love going for walks. It's quite a meditative thing to do. So I'm always going out for walks around Muriwai. Also go to the gym maybe once or twice a week, as you just don't think about anything else while you're there.
Yeah.
And I've also recently got into meditation. So I make sure I meditate most days, and I find that highly effective in having that time out, even in the middle of the day or at the end of the day.
That's so good. It's good.
And I also
yourself.
ensure that I make time for my friends and my family as well, because that's also really important.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that. So, yeah.
It's just getting the right balance, isn't it? It's not always easy.
And I think I'm getting more of that balance as my kids are getting older.
Yeah.
It was a bit harder in the early stages. Like I did miss out on some things. Yeah.
But they'll be at school in the next few years. You won't know yourself.
I reckon.
So what's in the future for you, do you think?
So I just want to keep doing this and keep exploring and keep going and experimenting with my processes. And I'm really excited to see where those my lithography and painting goes, as I can see that it's changed even across the 3 years that I've been going pretty solidly at it. And I do want to be a full-time artist, and I'm not going to stop. It is a battle, and it is a lot of hard work, but I'm always really humbled that I am really humbled that I've been getting commissions and my works are selling and they're in galleries. And it's like, people are willing, it's quite humbling that people are willing to part with their hard-earned cash to put something on their wall. And I'm sure, all artists know where I'm coming from with this. So, and I just want to keep selling myself and putting my name out there and, do the hard yards.
Good on you. I'm sure you'll be highly successful with such a good work ethic. That's really cool. Thank you. Okay, so to finish, I have a few quick Kiwi questions for you, which is what we do at the end of every episode. Here in New Zealand, we love our coffee. How do you have it?
I don't drink coffee.
Another one who doesn't drink coffee. Oh, my goodness.
Exactly. I do have a green tea in the morning, and I do have the odd energy drink. So, yeah.
So you make up for the lack of caffeine. Tui or Kereru?
Kereru.
Beach or mountain?
Beach.
Easy one.
Yeah.
Sunset or sunrise?
Sunset.
Oh, I thought you might have said sunrise, actually, with your pinks.
It's too early in the morning.
Yeah. You never see them. North Island of New Zealand or South Island?
North Island.
East Coast or West Coast?
East Coast.
Ooh, tricky. You went straight there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grew up on the East Coast.
Yeah. That's where your heart is.
Yeah.
Is there somewhere in New Zealand you've always wanted to visit but have never been to?
The East Cape. I haven't explored the East Cape yet.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well worth a trip.
Yep.
Beautiful. And apart from where you live now, I have to say that because all the Muriwai artists like to say Muriwai, what is your favourite place in New Zealand and why?
Whananaki, definitely. That's where we used to always go for family picnics, and then we ended up camping there, and now my dad has a batch there, so yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kylie, for joining me. It's been really lovely just actually having a chance to connect with you and meet you properly, and hearing about your journey, which has so many interesting things that a lot of people will get so much out of, I think. But also especially hearing about that process, the lithography process, which I had no idea about. So that was really interesting for me. But thank you very much for sharing and for coming today.
Yeah, thank you, Mandy. I really enjoyed telling my story, and I hope your listeners do too.
I'm sure they will. Thanks,
Cool.
Kylie.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.